Hey class, welcome to the first tutorial on how to complete the Sunday Do assignment. This is of course, an introductory to personality psychology. The interesting thing about this assignment is actually talks about criminal behavior, which is kind of an interesting way to introduce the class to personality psychology. So I don't want everyone to think that this class is just based on criminal behavior, which is a fun, interesting, I wouldn't say fun because it's crime, but it's an interesting and you know, piques the interest of a lot of students on looking at the criminal behavior and how that is developed from a personality, from a youth to adult perspective. But so I want to go over the directions real quick. Please note that the tutorials do not replace the reading of the directions, so make sure you also read the directions too. Now, this is the attachment you're going to use. Do not use a different document to type on. This is already a Word document, so you don't need to copy and paste anything. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to, after you read these directions, you're going to try to find some kind of media source that helps you see a short documentary on a criminal behavior. I have some that I love to watch. There's actually one on a from the Iceman called Richard Kuklinski, and he's talking to a psychologist while he's in prison, and he was linked to many murders back in the 70s and 80s. He was a hitman for the, uh, I believe it was a Gambino crime family. So that's just an example of one. That was a really interesting documentary. It was more of a interview, face-to-face interview, stuff like that. You can use that, or you can go online on Netflix, YouTube, whatever the source is, and watch a documentary. Don't watch something that's like political where someone's blaming a president for being a criminal. That's not what you're looking for. Okay, you're looking for actual crime. It could be robbery, theft, serial killing. It could be anything of the criminal nature. It could be gang violence. It could be any of this stuff. And it even gives you a list here: violent crimes, property crimes, white collar crime. White collar crime, there's several of those that you could actually look up. Bernie Madoff is actually one of the most interesting crime, white collar crime, where he actually helped the FCC write laws to protect investment firms and people who are investing in uh, uh, stocks or trading uh, and have a portfolio. He actually helped create those laws with the FCC in the 70s and 80s, and then turn around and get caught with a Ponzi scheme. So a Ponzi scheme is another one of those things. Organized crime. Here we go with organized crime. This one here, like I said, you could go. There's some interesting things about, like I said, like Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, who was actually a hitman. There's a couple other ones that talk about. There was a couple of the mafia people who made it out in witness protection, who did documentaries or talked to people about, how the mafia worked, how gangs worked, and then victimless crimes as well. So have fun picking that out. This is an assignment I wish I had in college. So what you're going to do is you're going to type right here, title of the media. You'll do it right next to it. Name of the criminal. You type it right here. Okay. If you want to highlight it, you can just highlight and select that so you can ensure you have an answer there. Crimes committed, okay, that kind of thing. Now, here it says 3 to 5 sentences describing the individual, okay? So when you answer this question, you're going to type, this is already good enough to type on right here, okay? You could just begin typing. Okay, and you just keep following through with it, okay? Don't count sentences, cause, get 3 to 5. Try to get 3 to 5, but I would say don't just count sentences, because if you don't give me enough information, you'll get a point deduction. There'll be times where students will give like real quick 5-word sentence and it doesn't tell me anything. All right, so I always tell students, in your mind, if it says 3 to 5 sentences, think about getting over 5 sentences, okay? And just type away. Describe it. If you describe it thoroughly, you're going to go 3 to 5 sentences or more. All right. Try not to go too far over 5 sentences. Like don't write, 500 words, but give a good description. Okay. If you're going to just do 3 sentences, 5 sentences, and it doesn't say much, you're not going to get credit. It has to be informative. All right. Same thing with this. Uh, 3 to 5 description on why you think this person engaged in the criminal acts. You can get that from the tutorial you watched. or from the video you watched. Okay. Chapter one, you're going to go to chapter one and number four, and you're going to identify a theory or theories that appear to best fit the description. So now you're connecting the behavior with something that you're studying in class. This is where learning is involved. All right, and then it's going to ask you to glance ahead. No quoting. There should be no quotes um, in my class and in every class, but especially in my class. Do not quote, paraphrase. Now, some students will say, well, I wrote this in my own words, why do I need to cite it? Because you still didn't do the study. Just because you wrote the fact and the quote in your own words doesn't mean you did the study at all. You still have to give credit to the author, okay? So make sure you're over here. Now, it says in there, I believe 600 words is what it says, 600 to 750 words. So obviously, if you get to that, I'm sorry, if you actually answer each question thoroughly, you'll get to that. Notice how on number 4, 5, and 6, there's no, hey, 3 to 5 sentence, because you have to fully describe and answer these questions thoroughly. You're probably going to write a lot more than just you are going to write more than 3 to 5 sentences in these. Okay? Even if it says briefly examine, it's going to say briefly examine a chapter connected to the theory that appear closest to your person view of human nature. Then it says that's just one part of it. Then it says use some of the ideas presented in that chapter to explain why the individual engaged in criminal activity. Okay, you're not going to quote. You're going to make the connection. You're going to describe it. All right. So make sure you answer each question like this one here. What additional information might you need to confirm whether the individual fits a theory? You have to answer something. Writing something like, there's nothing else, no credit, okay? What sort of questions might be helpful to ask during the interview, intake interview? So like, are you interviewing a person? What would you ask? All right. So be very thorough with this. This is a very fun assignment, guys. I wish I had something like this in my class when I was taking college classes. This one actually is one of my favorite assignments. But be thorough. If you're not sure on the type of documentary you're watching, and you're worried that it might not be approved, and you might receive point deductions for it, because you will, message me in a private forum, and I'll take a look at it. Okay? All right. Good luck.